Chris Cornaris here, the Crypto Current team, bringing you another episode of Crypto Decrypted. We're going to be talking about what makes it so special both on the blockchain and in the crypto industry, but also outside of it and in the broader financial spectrum as well.
Crypto Decrypted.
Now, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, I do want to remind you all that if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And of course, if you enjoy today's content, leave a like as well, as it really would help us out. But before we actually jump into the meat and potatoes, let me just give you a quick recap of what the layer 3 or the third layer of blockchain is. If you remember from past weeks and from the blockchain layer videos, layer 1 is kind of that base layer. It's the foundational technology. Layer 2, typically called the scaling solutions. And layer 3, the kind of application layer. And this is going to be any of the decentralized applications, or dApps as they're called, that you will interact with. And there are so many different kinds, so I'll make sure to link that video right up here. But let's talk about one of the most successful layer 3 projects, applications, however you want to call it. Okay, that's Uniswap. So its main selling point is that it's what's called an automated market maker. You may be familiar with the term market maker because companies like Vangaurd, for instance, they're called market makers because they essentially make sure all these transactions that happen in the traditional stock market can actually happen, that there's enough liquidity and assets behind them to make sure that you're not just buying enough. And essentially, Uniswap is aiming to keep trading open and automated for anyone that holds its token, its native token called Uni, or UNI. Like I was saying, some of its main characteristics are all revolving around this one idea of being an automated market maker. What it does at its core is solve a lot of the issues around liquidity that earlier decentralized finance apps, or DeFi, really ran into. So first and foremost, its native token Uni, like I was telling you, is a really cool application and kind of piece of Uniswap because it adds the possibility for profitability for this application. Not to mention, there also is a DAO associated with Uniswap, which we've covered before, that lets the users and holders of the Uni token kind of decide what to do with its overall treasury of $1.8 billion, which I believe at the time of this video is the second largest in all DAOs, but it also lets them shape the direction that this exchange is able to go in. So by automating the market making process, the protocol incentivizes activity by limiting risk and reducing the costs for all parties involved. Now, those are just some of the characteristics of Uniswap. Let's talk about what y'all really care about, which is its upside, its price, its value, the profit-making potential. To date, Uniswap, from the time it launched, is up 119x, meaning that you put in $1,000 on the day of launch, you would be up to $119,000. But the craziest thing about that is it's down about 80% of the time I'm filming this from its all-time high. Now, let's talk again about the why. Why has it had such an increase in value for the native token? And a lot of this is just going to be rehashing what I said before. Liquidity was a big issue for original DeFi. People came in with far too much money and say, we're going to buy a ton of a token. Sometimes there just wasn't enough liquidity there to kind of back up that trade. And the cool thing about it is this protocol is actually aiming to kind of build liquidity for the entire DeFi sphere, more than just Uniswap, because it does integrate with other Ethereum-based DeFi protocols. And in theory, and this is one of my favorite things about Uniswap, which I think is cool, is any holder of the token can create their own liquidity pool between two tokens. So say you want to create a pool between Bitcoin and Uni, well, that's possible. But that's going to wrap things up today, guys. And before we wind down here, I do want to remind y'all that none of this should have been construed as financial advice. Just your crypto commentator, here to help you guys learn a little and maybe provide some alpha at the same time. Uniswap is up big all time, 119 times to date. And the reason for that is because it reduces risk, reduces costs, and then therefore incentivizes activity. Because it's an automated market maker, its goal is to provide liquidity, and the advanced algorithm that runs it makes that happen. And I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. If you did, again, don't forget to leave a like, comment, say hi. I love reading comments. But until next Thursday, guys, I've been Chris Cornaris, and I hope y'all stay crypto current.